In pursuit of Jade, most people probably never noticed that when Xie Zheng blocked the door with one hand, the three love-laden lines he spoke were the very key that finally opened Fan Chang Yu's heart and led to the night the two of them truly became husband and wife. Ever since the drama began, the thing that left the deepest impression on me, apart from the hard-won love between Xie Zheng and Fan Chang Yu, was Xie Zheng's flawless talent for saying exactly the right words. In the drama, a breeze carrying flower petals suddenly blew open Fan Chang Yu's door. Pulled out of her thoughts, she rose to shut it. But just as the door was about to close, Xie Zheng thrust out a hand and stopped it. The two were locked in a silent standoff. Xie Zheng spoke first, saying he had something to tell her, but Fan Chang Yu refused to talk. If it had been anyone else, they might have let go and left in dejection. But Xie Zheng did not. In an instant, he said the words that mattered most. Anyone in this world could become the prince consort, but he, Xie Zheng, would never. He would clear up the rumors, steady the border defenses Fan Chang Yu had worked so hard to protect, and remind her that he had already married into her life. He belonged only to her. With that clear and unwavering declaration, he soothed the knot in her heart. Then he told her that in this lifetime, his only wish was for her to make her feelings known. As expected, Fan Chang Yu stopped insisting on closing the door. Xie Zheng seized the moment, stepped inside, and laid his heart bare. In the end, the two reconciled. Watching that scene, only one thought came to mind. If you truly love someone, the greatest proof is favoritism without hesitation. On the surface, Xie Zheng's 3 short lines sounded like sweet words spoken while winning back his wife. But underneath, they revealed something much deeper. He had reserved all his tenderness, all his indulgence, all his partiality for one person alone. In Xie Zheng's heart, Fan Chang Yu was special. She was the only one. Between Fan Chang Yu and everyone else, Xie Zheng would always choose Fan Chang Yu. Between right and wrong, he would still choose Fan Chang Yu. As long as she was one of the options, she would be the one he picked. Just as he once endured Wei Yan's brutal punishment, taking 108 lashes, simply so he could be with Fan Chang Yu openly and honorably. For Fan Chang Yu, Xie Zheng's blatant favoritism was a kind of salvation. His endless gentleness and devotion gave her the greatest sense of safety. It had to be said, everything Xie Zheng did was unbelievably handsome, and that was exactly the reason Fan Chang Yu finally opened her heart and completely accepted him. As for what followed, I think it would most likely stay close to the original story. After Fan Chang Yu and Xie Zheng reconciled, they went to the capital to receive their reward. But the young emperor, who had long been hollowed out by Wei Yan's grip on power, wanted to use Xie Zheng for himself. So he had Xie Zheng drugged, hoping to force a match between him and the eldest princess, Qi. After Xie Zheng was caught off guard and fell victim to it, he would rather jump into the freezing lake and wound himself again and again to stay conscious than let the drug control him. He endured until Fan Chang Yu found him. And Fan Chang Yu, seeing how disheveled and miserable Xie Zheng was, utterly unable to suppress himself, had already accepted him completely by then. So she gave herself to him to ease his suffering. What began as someone else's scheme ended with the two of them consummating their marriage under the shadow of that trap. I only wish everyone could meet their own Xie Zheng, someone who would spend a whole lifetime pouring out boundless devotion on just one person. Everyone cursed Wei Yan, branded him a villain, and condemned him without mercy. Yet only Xie Zheng understood that Wei Yan took all the blame upon himself not because he was innocent, but because of one devastating truth from 17 years ago. When that cup of poison wine was brought before him, Wei Yan drank it cleanly. He did not struggle. He did not beg for mercy. He did not even look at Xie Zheng. After 17 years of towering power at court, all of it weighed no more than a single cup of poison wine. And even as he breathed his last, he never spoke a word in his own defense. Everyone thought the man reviled for 17 years had been wronged. After all, it was the former emperor who had been the true mastermind. After all, Wei Yan had only been a pawn. But the truth was far crueler than mere injustice. Everyone cursed Wei Yan for ruining Qi Rongyin, yet no one knew that the relationship itself had been the former emperor's most vicious blade. 17 years earlier, Wei Yan was not yet the all-powerful chief minister. He was only a young man in his prime, and he and Xie Zheng had been childhood sweethearts, meant for a life together. But one imperial decree summoned Xie Zheng into the palace as a consort. It was never about favor. It was meant to cut off the chance of an alliance between two powerful families. At the mid-autumn banquet, the former emperor laid a trap. False rumors were spread, luring Wei Yan into secretly entering the palace at night. He fell for it, turned back, and then saw the palace consumed by flames. Xie Zheng was burned alive, and he never even saw her one last time. It was not a scandal of illicit love. It was a carefully staged murder. The former emperor used Wei Yan's most genuine feelings as bait, forced him away from the front lines, and caused the defense of Jinzhou to collapse. The crown prince died in battle, and 100,000 soldiers were wiped out. Wei Yan never defended himself. He willingly bore the infamy of abandoning his post. He willingly let the world point fingers at him and curse him as a traitor, because he knew that if he spoke the truth, Xie Zheng would no longer be remembered as a poor woman caught in the storm. She would become a political sacrifice, a woman whose death had been tied forever to her husband's name. He would rather stain himself than let the woman he loved die sullied. But the real reason Wei Yan accepted all the blame was even crueler than protecting the one he loved. When the truth behind the Jinzhou bloodshed was slowly peeled away, Xie Zheng discovered that Wei Yan was not only a pawn, he was also an executioner. In order to cover up his crime of leaving his post, he fabricated evidence that the Xie family had colluded with the enemy and ordered the extermination of the entire Xie household. To eliminate every loose end, he also sent men to hunt down Fan Chang Yu's parents. For 17 years, Wei Yan sat in the position of regent with power over life and death, yet every night he was haunted by nightmares.
It was not that he lacked the chance to speak.
In court, he could have exposed the former emperor's schemes and washed himself clean as an old minister who had been used and wronged. But he never did, because he could not bring himself to confess the drunken words he had spoken at the crown prince's banquet 17 years before. If his majesty lacked virtue, then let him abdicate. Those words were the beginning of everything. Once Grand Tutor Li reported them to the former emperor, the chain of poison and conspiracy began. With that single sentence, Wei Yan caused the death of the crown prince, the deaths of 100,000 soldiers, and the death of the woman he loved most. He took all the blame not because he was blameless, but because he deserved punishment. He could not bear the tearing contradiction of being both victim and perpetrator. He slaughtered the Xie family. He killed Fan Chang Yu's parents. Those blood debts could never be erased with the excuse that he had merely been used by the former emperor. So he chose silence and let the infamy of a treacherous minister live on. It was the only atonement he could think of. And so, in the end, Xie Zheng never went to see him off. Before drinking the poison wine, Wei Yan made arrangements for after his death. He wished to be buried together with Xie Zheng. Xie Zheng allowed it. The nephew he had raised with his own hands ended his life with a cup of poison, yet still granted him that final shred of dignity. For 17 years, uncle and nephew had loved and hated each other. Wei Yan had destroyed Xie Zheng's family, yet he had also raised him. Xie Zheng had ended Wei Yan's life, yet in the end, he also fulfilled his final obsession. Both of them knew the true culprit had always been the dragon throne itself, the endless suspicion and calculation seated upon it. Wei Yan was the executioner, but the one who wielded the knife had been the former emperor. Wei Yan could never forgive himself. In his whole life, he had only ever loved Xie Zheng, yet in trying to save her, he ended up causing the deaths of 100,000 people. He gained power, but lost everything. Wei Wan hanged herself, and Yang Ziwei Xian, before dying, said he had no father like him. Xie Zheng never went to the prison to see him, even once. Abandoned by all, cut off from everyone, Wei Yan lost every last attachment to this world. In the final ending, Xie Zheng and Fan Chang Yu withdrew to Shigu Alley and reopened the butcher shop. Fan Chang Yu slaughtered pigs, Xie Zheng kept the accounts, and together they fulfilled the promise that he would spend his life supporting her. They had seen through the emptiness of power and chose instead the warmth of an ordinary life. Wei Yan, meanwhile, remained forever trapped in that blood-soaked past from 17 years ago. Buried together with Qi Rongyin, unable to share the same bed in life, he finally shared the same tomb in death. It was his only obsession, and perhaps his only redemption. Perhaps that was the clearest justice fate could offer. The true tyrant, the former emperor, had long since turned to dust. But Wei Yan, the man he used, paid with 17 years of infamy and a cup of poisoned wine in exchange for resting beside the woman he loved after death. Maybe that was destiny's most bitter kind of fairness. The thing Wei Yan refused to admit until the very end was never the stain of forbidden love. What he could not admit was that drunken sentence that changed everyone's fate, and the version of himself who had been both deeply loving and unbearably cruel.